This clip is brought to you by the legendary Tasty Pastry. 20 grams of protein, 5 grams of net carbs, and 0 sugar. Better than any protein bar out there. Tastes amazing. Enjoy this clip.
Wow. So we mentioned DMT, but, Mark, myself, and even Andrew's dabbled a little bit, I think, but we've messed with psilocybin before. And I'm curious because, you were mentioning that it would be more ideal. Like a lot of people find these substances and they want to use them as an escape of something or to get to another state without doing personal work before. But I'd imagine that you do use psilocybin quite a bit. What uses do you find that it's maybe useful for you, or is it even useful for you? I'm not sure.
Psilocybin is certainly something that I've used before. I wouldn't say I use it a lot. I might microdose with psilocybin, maybe 3 or 4 times a month, on like a day where I need a little bit more creativity. I'll certainly use something like the Stammet stack and take a half gram or so of psilocybin with a little bit of like a blood cell or a blood flow precursor like niacinamide or niacin or even like sildenafil or something like that. And then the lion's mane and the psilocybin. And that's really nice, for something for which you'd want increased sensory perception or increased creativity, like either a hike in nature or a really intense like worship, prayer, song session, which I'll sometimes do, especially in the morning, just, going before God for an hour or so and going really deep. It can even be nice for like a hard workout or for a really good creative writing session where I'm juggling a lot of book chapters and just need to be able to step back and see the forest for the trees, but then also be able to dive in and creatively tweak and edit each chapter. So, those would be some use cases for it. I would say that I very seldomly will use what many would refer to, as more like a trip dose, where I'll take 3, 4, 5, 6 grams. I've done that before, with a good journal and a mask and a good track, and have been able to have business or personal breakthroughs that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to have, and for those type of things, just because sometimes you're kind of laid out a little bit, I'll just put on a digital recorder and record what I vocalized during those sessions. And then later I'll transcribe that recording and, get access to some of the things that I voiced when my ego was set aside and I was in a little bit more of an elevated or altered state of consciousness. Cause you do think, differently when you're on these type of substances, especially when you've kind of minimized or slayed or set aside your ego to a certain extent. And I think there's benefit. My view on any of these things, to get to your question about escapism, is that, I think that in many cases, when you're talking to somebody who's done like their 38th ayahuasca retreat or whatever, and then they're going back to Peru next week, you kind of ask yourself mentally, geez, like, what's this person looking for that they're not finding from this or other substances? Because, you can go to a blissful la la land state and convince yourself that it's like this noble excursion to enlightenment. And, this time, this one time, even though it didn't work all the other times, this one time is going to be the time when you finally come back with the magic elixir, with the answer to all of life's problems. And the fact is, all you're doing is just checking out from the pain that you experience in your normal day-to-day life, because you either haven't integrated what you knew you were supposed to integrate from a previous plant medicine session, or there's just still so much pain and so much in your life that you need to address when you're in a conscious, rational, full ego on board state that you haven't yet implemented. And sometimes the plant medicine experience can be blissful and relaxing. And, you can escape a lot of the pain that you experience in the logical, rational, fully connected world. But if you're in that logical, rational, fully connected world and not making the decisions and doing the hard work and implementing the things that you may have been told or may have realized that you should be implementing when you're in that more blissful, plant medicine experience, then it's not doing you any good. I mean, look, I think with any of these things, and I'm a Christian, so maybe I have a different viewpoint than some people might, but I think that God made everything that's in creation for a specific purpose. And I think that anything in creation can be abused. Like, for example, use of higher doses of plant medicine. I think the use cases for that is very few and far between. Maybe a rite of passage into adolescence for a young man or a young woman. Maybe a wedding night that you're celebrating with the spouse you've just married. Maybe your 40th birthday party. Maybe if you have had trauma or you have epigenerational trauma and you need to specifically use that to start to dissolve some of that trauma, but the idea is very popular, like especially in the health and fitness community. I don't know if you guys have noticed, you probably have, people are just like dropping this stuff like candy and going off on some journey every month. I really don't think that's the intention for these type of substances. I think their use for cognitive enhancement in a microdosing context, great. I think that works fine. LSD, LSA, Wachuma, psilocybin, any of these things used in small amounts to enhance productivity and creativity. I think that's the best use case for them. And then higher doses would be very few and far between for, what's the guy? Jamie Wheel. He writes about this in his book, Stealing Fire or Recapture the Rapture. The rest of the time, it's just like extremely calendared hedonistic experiences that are not something that you're doing like every month, but instead use very, very few and far between and for very special occasions. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, go ahead and comment down below and let us know what you liked about it. All right. Share this with a friend. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And also, we are on Reddit and Discord. All that's down below. All our sponsors and everyone that supports us down below there too. So you can get whatever you like from us. All right. Peace.